and welcome to my garden. So today I'm going to talk about spring pruning, and I'm not going to prune a lot. I am going to prune one tree rows that I have in the garden, but not a whole lot of pruning. But I wanted to talk about spring pruning in general. And the reason why I'm not doing a whole lot of pruning, because there's so many pruning videos at the moment for the roses, etc. But I just kind of wanted to speak about, talk about general things that I do in the springtime for this time of a season. But first, before we get into it, I wanted to answer a couple of questions, because two of our viewers was asking, I had some questions, and sometimes it's difficult to answer everything by writing. And so I wanted to show instead of writing about it. So first of all, one of our viewers, Maria Smith, I believe, she asked me about how much time I spend in the garden, and honestly that was really hard to say, and I don't want to scare anyone about not gardening, because I spend a lot of time in the garden, and I know and I understand that many people don't have that kind of a time, and I didn't have as much time when I was living in Colorado, because I had a full-time job and I was working long hours, but I did have a nice garden, and I had to get up very early at times to be able to water the garden, more like 5 a.m., and be able to have a little time in the garden, because I was gone all day, to enjoy the garden. And so gardening does take time if you have especially this size of a garden that I created here. But when we came to France, when we moved here, we wanted to simplify everything, and one of the things that I really wanted to do is to have time to garden. And honestly, this is what I started doing. I just started gardening, and honestly, in the summertime, I literally get out. I get my housework done, because we cook at home for dinner, and we do clean. I clean my own home and everything else. And so after that, I get outside, and literally, I spend most of my day here. And I truly, for me personally, I rather not be anywhere else. So I get outside, and literally my day just slips away, and I go home for dinner. I come outside again and I work, and then I go home when it's dark, pretty much. So that's what I do, and that's what I enjoy doing. This is what I'd rather do. And so anyway, I hope that answers your question. But again, I don't want to scare anyone about the garden, because garden does take time, and I do water everything by hand. I don't want to change that necessarily. It does take lots of time, but I really enjoy that time of watering. So honestly, I don't really want to change that too much, because that's the only time I spend that I can go through every bed and spend some time with my plants and check everything. And so I don't know, that's like my quality enjoyment time with my plants, and I kind of enjoy that time. But then above that, I have to do all the maintenance, weeds, etc., as you guys already know, and try to create new areas, because honestly, eventually, I would like to have every corner of our property look beautiful, and that's my goal. Like, I want to get every corner of our property to look beautiful, but that takes time and takes effort, and for one person sometimes it's really difficult, but slowly I'm doing it, I'm enjoying it, and it's a lot of work, but I do enjoy it. So I hope that answers your question, Maria. And then the second question was, I believe, Gary Green, I believe. He asked about the entrance, because he wanted to create a nice entrance to his garden, and he wanted to see how I created mine. And Gary, that's such a great question, because as I said in my message, entrance just sets the tone for the rest of the garden, and it's so beautiful when you enter the garden and just starts, so you can see everything, or not even see everything, but just has that beautiful entrance. And I haven't perfected this area. I wanted to show you ours so you can see what I have done, but this has been improving over time. So what I did in the beginning of the time is I just had irises here, and the reason why I had irises here, because this soil here was so compact, and I didn't want to deal with it, to be honest. I dug the other area, but this side for some reason just scared me, because it was so compact. I was like, I'll just put all the irises here. And then I found lots of irises in this property kind of scattered around. So what I did, I just collected them, and I kind of collected them in this area in the beginning. Then after I started, you know, creating the rest of the garden, it's like, you know, this area doesn't look very good. So I brought it, I went ahead and removed everything and actually tackled this bed, and I basically just really amended this area because it was just very clay. And after that, I decided I wanted to plant my hybrid tea rose because I thought it would be really pretty entering the garden. We'll have this hybrid tea right in the front, which has a beautiful color. It's a red variety called Edith Piaf. It's beautiful. And so I planted this rose, and then I realized, well, irises will come and go, and then I have nothing else. So I planted 2 hydrangeas. So now I have strawberry Sunday hydrangeas on each side, and I think this brought a lot more interest here because you know, this blooms pretty much most of the summer, and it looks beautiful. They're still small, but I'm hoping as they get bigger and mature, they will create a nice, you know, bring interesting look to this front area. And this is not going to stay this way. I'm assuming that it will improve over time, and this is why gardens take long time to create, is because, you know, we create the bed and then ideas come up, and then I realize that, okay, I need to change this or that, and so it evolves. But this is kind of what mine look like. And this area here, it was just cut trees, and there was no soil. Soil was kind of sunk down a lot. It was just lots of roots. What I did last summer is when we were trying to when we were digging for the pergola project, I had lots of soil, and I hauled all that soil with my wheelbarrow, and I backfilled this wall here. I raised everything. So this was actually last summer project. And what I did here, I have some I planted some dahlias here, which is this part kind of gets sunny. As I go down, it gets a little more shady. But then I decided to go with roses because I love roses, and roses bloom all summer long. Most of the reblooming ones, they keep reblooming, and they do bring interest. So I decided what I'd like to do is see roses here. And then I planted these ones. I planted several years ago in the beginning of the time. So they're actually starting to do well. Those are 2 hybrid teas, but then last year I added David Austin roses. This one was mislabeled, so I'm not sure exactly what kind this one is, but this one is Tasse d'Avril, I believe. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but this is a nice deep fuchsia kind of variety, and I'm hoping that they will fill in because they're shrub roses. I'm hoping to fill in, so that's my goal, to fill this area with gorgeous blooms. Then I went ahead and planted some dahlias here. They're a little shorter, and they have more of a yellowy color. So I think that would be really pretty. And I think I'm going to still add more to the edges. I'm not sure exactly yet, you know, what I want to do with that. Sometimes you just have to take a rest and think about it, and then come back to that project when the ideas come, because I don't know how some people just create one garden like all at once, because it feels like it's just impossible to me, because it takes time to evolve the garden. But as you can see, we're looking down this way. This is our side of the house, and I realized that I need something here, because when you enter from the gate this way, you can see that there's nothing here. And this part here I wanted to show you. This is the work that we've done throughout this winter. We kind of piled it here, but we have a ban coming I think this month. So George and I will haul all of this and dump it in a bin, which will be close by here, and then we'll just clear this area. But this fresh cuttings right here was just done last week, because what I did is I went ahead and cleared out all of these bushes that was growing here. And that edge, all the way to the edge here, is the magnolia tree that we planted right there. So I went ahead and kind of cleared that out. This one is viburnum. This is actually a beautiful viburnum. I like it. It's evergreen. I think I'm going to leave this. It's very healthy. But what I did is just cleared out everything from the bottom to the top. So I cleared that out. As soon as we haul all of this out, I'll just clear it out, amend the soil a little bit, and maybe do nice ground cover here and create this beautiful area. Maybe add some annuals for the summertime. So hopefully, and maybe some hydrangeas, like a pina colada hydrangeas, I will probably continue this way, continue to bring that way, because I have 3 pina colada hydrangeas right here, and this is going to be their second season, and they're looking already pretty nice. I haven't trimmed them this winter because they're still so small. I only planted them last summer, so they will hopefully fill in, and hopefully I'll continue a little bit this way and have this area maybe fill in with some begonias for the summertime. I think begonias will do really well here. And so I'm still, we still have to repair the wall, repaint everything. So it's just that, it will take time. But this is kind of what I'm doing in my area. And then here, when you're looking into the house, and I don't want to talk about what I'm going to do because this is going to be a whole another project, and I don't want to ruin a new video that is coming. But I will show you what I'm going to do here. And I think I do need to do something here because it looks like it needs something. It's kind of empty with lots of walls, and I want to bring softness and beauty to it. And on this area we have a wisteria. This wisteria has been here when we moved in, and I'm really grateful because it's a great spot, and it's been here probably since they built the house, and it's very mature wisteria, and it's doing great every year. And honestly, in one point I really would love to bring it maybe above here, but that's a whole another project. I just have to see how that's going to work. My biggest concern having climbers to go up on a house is I'm debating. It's very difficult for me to make a decision for that because it's hard to do repairs behind them. So I don't know. I'm still debating on that idea, but I think it would look just gorgeous to bring it up right below the edge of the balcony here, and just have it climb like that over the garage door. That'd be so gorgeous. But we'll see. Still going, still everything is still in a working process. But I hope that this answers your question, because I just wanted to show you how I've done it and what I've done in my area. But also, looking, if we go this way, but I think walking here and entering the garden, it already opens up this beautiful, garden right in front of you. And it's not very secretive, but it's so big that, hopefully there is places that you want, someone would like to explore. So anyway, I hope it answers your question. And thank you so much for writing. I love hearing from all of you. I read every single message, and it's really fun for me. So this is the whole reason why I started sharing my garden, because to be connected to everybody who loves gardens. So anyway, let's go now and start our video today about spring pruning. So spring pruning, usually in the springtime, I prune all my hydrangeas, not all my hydrangeas, sorry, just arborescens, pina coladas, and I did hit any of the big leaf hydrangeas. If I leave any blooms over the wintertime, I just deadhead the blooms, but I don't trim my big leaf hydrangeas. So all I do, just check for the any branches that are dead or things like that, I just remove them. But usually for the big leaf hydrangeas, they do bloom on old wood, but nowadays with all the new creations of big leaf hydrangeas, they many of them, I believe, they bloom on old wood and new wood. So you know, technically, if you prune them in the spring, you probably will still have blooms, but you will lose all the last year's wood, like blooms that formed last year. So I wouldn't recommend it. Usually, if you want to do any pruning, just do it right after they flower. And normally, big leaf hydrangeas don't like to be pruned at all. Just leave them alone, and they will do their own thing. Unless you want to control the size or something like that, then you can prune them. But usually, they don't need pruning unless, you know, they're diseased branches or, you know, dead branches that you have to remove them, and, you know, all the spent flowers have to go at the end of the season. So that's a big leaf hydrangea. But for the paniculatas, as you can see, these ones are strawberry sundae, and I went ahead and pruned them. And you can prune them a little bit. I didn't do too much pruning on those because they are they have been planted only last year. They're not really that big yet to get pruned. But what I did is I just kind of went and formed a nice shape a little bit, and made, you know, went to and cut out a little above the last year's pruned branches a little bit, and just kind of let them be this year. And then next year I will prune them a little more. So roses, I already pruned them, as you can see, and usually I prune them and I fertilize them. I haven't fertilized them though this yet, and I'll show you how I fertilize my roses. It's very simple, it's nothing complicated, but I did prune my hybrid teas here already, and you can see they're already branching out, they're already budding out, so I'm really excited about that. And for the clematis, I wanted to talk about clematis because, and let me get my pruners so I can, maybe we can just prune this particular one, and then we'll talk about that. So for clematis, like I have one right here. Now I planted this clematis very small because I planted this only last year, and this one was, again, I thought it would be really beautiful because, again, it's the area where literally my friend, you know, people enter, and I thought clematis would be really pretty here and to give a nice height on this side. So that's the reason why I planted this clematis. Now this is this clematis called Henry. I love this clematis. If you don't have one, I would highly recommend it. It's beautiful white variety clematis with very large flowers. Now this clematis is belong to the second group of clematis, and there is, you guys probably already familiar, but there are 3 groups of clematis. And so for the first group of clematis, there usually no need for pruning unless, again, you would like to control the size or you know, remove all the dead stems and things like that. But for most part, first group of clematis, they don't need to be pruned. And I'll show you. I have one up there on one of my arbors. That's a first group, belong to the first group of the clematis. And this is the Armandii apple blossom, and that variety is evergreen, which is a beautiful, beautiful variety. And that one we just probably, I'm going to let it go. But for most part, the larger, any clematis that have larger blooms, they would probably belong to the second group of the clematis. And for the second group, they're very beautiful. The second group of clematis is my favorite varieties, and I absolutely love them because I like larger blooms. Now for the second group, you can see the clematis create this little I don't know what they called, like little stems, and which through those stems, and I don't know what they called. I'm not sure, I have to look up. But anyway, those little stems, what they help themselves to climb up on a tree. As you can see, they throw their little stem and they curl it up and they hold themselves up to climb up on a, you know, whatever the support they are on, that they're placed next to. So these ones are not going to come back to life, okay? So what I do usually for these varieties, I would just go ahead and cut all of these ones, these stems from last year, because they will just remain that way always, and until they themselves break, break and fall down or something. But I like to remove them. I don't like keeping them because more, because if you let them go more, they will create more, and then it was just becomes kind of a big jumble of things that you can't make sense out of it. So usually what I do is I like to go ahead and remove all of this every spring. Then I have a nice one stem clematis, and it's all cleaned out, and then the following year it's easier to maintain that way. And so that's what I do. I'll just do this one. I will clear it out like that. And then I wanted to talk about the third group of clematis. Clematis that belong to the third group are very easy to maintain because they don't flower on the old wood. So they only flower on the on the new growth. And so you can probably take them down completely, cut them completely, and let them just flush out again from the ground up. And they will still bear pretty flowers, and they will be fine. For a lot of people do that, but they don't have those gorgeous big flowers. They normally have a smaller varieties like Sweet Autumn Clematis and others. I believe they belong to the third group of the Clematis family. And wanted to show you really quick how I fertilize them. For clematis, you can just use rosewood or just all-purpose flour. I'm sorry, all-purpose all-purpose fertilizer. No, don't leave that in. And just to use all-purpose fertilizer, and that would work just fine. I have some rosewood here. That's what I'm going to use. Rosewood you can use for hydrangeas and for the for clematis, and they will be just fine. So I also here have some manure. Manure is my to-go because first of all it's very affordable for me to just buy manure. Bag of manure goes long ways to feed my plants, and I also like to mix with sand. Lately I have been mixing sand with my soil and using with my with the manure to give it to apply to the soil, because again when I was amending my soil I mixed in lots of organic stuff like compost, etc., but I didn't mix sand, and I think that was a mistake because the organic matters eventually kind of go away and or get mixed in, but the clay component, clay part of the soil still remains, and I think it's really important to incorporate sand with the clay. So I didn't think about it, but this is one of those things that you just learn, and when you start gardening and you realize what you need and what works best. And so I think that's what I'm going to do as I move forward with this. But let's go ahead and apply some fertilizer for clematis. Usually I like to place rocks on the base of the clematis because it does keep the clematis base cool in the summertime. Clematis are just one of those plants that are very finicky about their roots getting hot, so you need to make sure either plant some things around to keep the sun penetrating too much to their roots. In my case here, sometimes I have this part of the it's part of a roof here that I found just around the property, so I kind of like to shelter it from the sun. That way sun is not directly hitting the roots of the clematis. Or you can bring lots of mulch, or in my case I like to use some rocks and just place them on a base of them. But they do like having the rest the flowers like to see sun, so they usually in my area, zone 8B, I realize that they really don't like hot afternoon sun. Maybe some areas that are in the northern areas where the sun is not as hot, you can probably have afternoon sun. For me, I just don't think they just don't do very well, but they do like filtered sun in my area, and also morning sun is also great. So like this area here, I get about the sun until about maybe 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon, and then sun kind of moves this way and kind of passes this area. So it's not so this clematis is not getting the direct hot afternoon sun. So that, hopefully that makes sense. So all I'm going to do is just have some this is granules. I'm just going to basically place on a base like that, and then I'm going to apply some manure, which I need to get some more. And then what I'll do, I like using this tool right here, because then I can just go like that and just kind of play with it a little bit. Be careful not to go close to the roots and disturb the roots, but it's kind of nice to work it in a soil a little bit like this. Okay, so this is kind of how I feed my clematis in the springtime. I'm going to remove all of this. As you can see, they're already sprouting. I don't have my glasses. I don't want to make wrong cuts, but because I've done that before. Okay, so I think it looks really nice, and that way I have a nice clean vine, and I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of dead branches that are going to accumulate. So, you know, because they eventually will all knit themselves everywhere, and then it's just really difficult to make sense out of it. That's why I rather do it every spring and kind of stay ahead of it and make it nice, clean vine, because they create those every year. So that's for clematis. And let's go see what's going on here. Now I have a tree rose here that needs to be pruned. I haven't done this year. I haven't pruned this yet this year, and I see that there's lots of dead branches that needs to be removed. So I want to get this one done. Hi, buddy. So, and I'm not an expert on, you know, how to prune or anything like that. I just basically go around and clean up all the dead that has been, that needs to be removed, all the dead branches, and kind of see what's going on with this, because it has lots of it. We talk about climbing roses, and then I'll come back and finish this. So this looks like it's going to take a little bit. Let's go ahead and talk about climbing roses. Then I will come back and just finish this tree, because it will take a little time. And the good example, maybe we could go here. Let's go here first, because I have a climbing rose right here that's growing against this wall. And this is on I have a obelisk support here for this rose. I already trimmed this climbing rose. So the climbing roses are mostly, I'm new to climbing roses as well, because in Colorado I didn't have climbing roses. They just didn't do well in my area. But as I started working with them here, it is imperative for the climbing roses, if you want to have lots of blooms, their canes have to be curved, either just, you know, maybe a little sideways. You don't have to curve them completely, but they need to be somehow not straight, because if you have them straight, they will only bloom in the end of the cane right here. You will not have blooms anywhere else. But this is why I curve the entire, all the stem canes as possible. I've curved them, and they look really pretty. As you can see, these are all going to to produce flowers. Look at this. Because they are curved, they produce all these gorgeous flower-bearing stems from the main cane, and it's looking really pretty. I keep looking at it, and I think I will have lots of flowers this year. I'm really excited. And you know, for climbing roses, it takes a little time, in my experience, to get going, but I think this year is going to be a good one. Let's go ahead and look at these ones on arbors that I've already pruned. And they are looking really nice too this year. They've been here for, this is their, I want to say, maybe third season coming up for the spring, and they are doing really beautiful as well. You can see, as much as possible, I've curved them, brought them on top, and you can see all the flower bearing little stems are coming out of the main canes, and I think that's going to be pretty this year. It's going to be really, really pretty. Very excited. And same way right there as well. So hopefully, and you see I cut them. So this is our main cane right here, and then there are the shoots that go up from each one, and I've trimmed them. I could have probably trimmed them a little more, to be honest, but I wasn't sure if I should cut too short. And so we'll see how they do. We're just kind of learning as we go, but I'm really excited about those climbing roses this year. So that's the climbing roses. And let's talk about hydrangeas again really quick. You can see I've curved, like this is, I planted this ones last year. This one is called Claire Renaissance, and this is a beautiful salmon pink variety of the climbing rose, and I think this is going to be really pretty. As you can see, I kind of curved the main canes a little bit this way, just so it will produce nice, beautiful shoots as it started already. And this one is the Pierre de Ronsard rose that we planted last year as well. And look how beautiful this is, because it's kind of going a little sideways, not so straight. It's already producing lots of beautiful side shoots for the flowers. Really excited about it this year. And for the hydrangea alley, I have, as many of you guys following my videos, you know that I planted lots of hydrangea incredible. Now, hydrangea incredible is a variety which was created from hydrangea Annabelle. It's more of a hybrid and a stronger variety, so they don't flop as much. But I haven't trimmed them very much last couple of years. They got kind of leggy this last year, so I decided this year to go ahead and take them down a little bit shorter, because I really didn't want, I need them to stay a little more compact. So we'll see how they do. But this is, last year I didn't trim as much, but this year I brought them down a little farther. And camellias are coming on from the background, so they're looking really pretty. Anyway, I think that's what I wanted to talk about, the spring pruning this year. We can go ahead and prune this tree rose, which it will take me a little bit, and then that would probably be all for today's video. So I will go ahead and work on these 3 rows for the rest of this afternoon, and I think it's going to look great. I'll kind of create a nice shape on these 3 rows, just remove all the dead, and I think this will end our today's video, and I hope you guys found this video to be helpful and enjoyed it. Thank you so much for all the messages and all the subscribers. Thank you for watching my videos. So have a wonderful week. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my videos, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.